Hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's good to be with you again live. And so here we are. We find ourselves at the end of the summer season, I'm sorry, the end of the spring season. Excuse me. I'm already in summer. Uh, so here we are at the end of the spring, remembering for a moment the qualities of spring and how it is associated through the Taoist five element medicine system to the liver and to the energy of kindness, uprising chi, growth, expansion, about revival, about regrowth, rebirth. That's what this time is really all about. So, part of what comes up for me is talk with many, many women about what's going on with them and their internal emotional lives and how that affects their sexuality. But many women are faced with feelings of self doubt, of insecurity, of just not feeling certain of themselves. Um, so that translates to not expressing, not being fully in their energy, not being fully present in deeply intimate situations that might be where we might be sexual or just having to do with connecting with another person. It also has to do with our relationship to the world. It may show up around our work and other parts of our creative and expressive life. So, what I want to talk about today, as the spring is coming to a close and we're moving into summer, is how we can use the energy of spring, the energy of the wood element, to secure ourselves, to feel stronger, to feel more majestic, to feel more present in our lives. So when you look at a big tree, that tree is just fully present, fully there. That tree isn't questioning, well, am I, how do I look next to these other trees? um, the kinds of things that we think about. Um, that tree just is. That tree is in its sovereignty. And so I wanted to do a practice today that'll allow us to go into that part of our own energy. So last week, if you were here, if you weren't, go back and watch the recording. We did an energetic practice where we actually shared our energy with this beautiful big tree and where we received the energy of that tree, which was really fun. The, um, this week, we're actually going to bring those aspects of the tree into ourselves. So there's a practice that is very important, a whole set of qigong practices that allows us to be secure, to have an internal energy structure for moving sexual energy. And in fact, they don't even teach higher levels of sexual energy practices unless you know these practices. So they're called iron shirt practices. Some of you may have seen these or even done these before. But I want to create a new context for this around the area of intimacy and sexuality, as well as having a well defined identity and being strong in who you are, remembering about the uprising chi, about the sovereignty that a tree represents. So, this practice that we're going to do is called embracing the tree. So, you don't have to be a tree hugger to do this, to embrace the tree. But what we're going to do is we're going to embody, to bring some of these aspects of the tree into our own lives, into our own bodies, and see how that allows us by doing this practice. Now, doing it once is a great thing because you'll see how that feels. But when you do this practice repeatedly, you become extremely strong inside. You develop this internal structure. So I'm going to show you how that works. Hopefully you'll be able to see most of me, but I'm going to start by just showing you what you do with your legs. You kind of want to stand with your legs about hip width apart, and you want to bend your knees slightly. I'll show you that a little bit so you can see kind of a little bit of how this is. And you want to, I'll show you a side view as well. You want to tuck in your sacrum a little bit, your lumbar and your sacral spine, so that they're a little bit curved. And then you just allow yourself to come to a position of rest. Your feet are pointing forward. You're allowing your body to come to a place of rest. You can see me well. I'm going to adjust this camera ever so slightly and move back a little bit. So you want to line up the palms of your hand so that they are opposite the lung 1 point on your chest, but they're going to be out. Your elbows are going to be slightly bent, and you're going to just rest your energy as though you were sitting, but you're going to allow your energy to go deeply down into the earth. Remembering how a tree has its deep roots that go very deeply down into the earth. And your hands are held like this so that you could actually be embracing a tree in here. Now, what happens when you do this is you actually develop a very strong posture. As you inhale, you're drawing earth energy up through your legs, up through your roots, and your trunk as you go to the center of your body. And the energy comes out your hands, and it also connects with your lung 1 points in your chest. And you simply rest. This is ultimately an effortless kind of posture, because what's happening is that the earth energy is moving through you. It's creating a circuit that allows you to be very strong. And in fact, when I've done this practice many times, you actually have people pushing on your body, on your shoulder and on your hip. And because your energy is rooted down into the earth, you actually cannot be moved. And by doing this, you develop an internal structure that allows energy to move through your body and through your consciousness, so that you have the structural infrastructure basically built in so that you can move high amounts of energy. And this is really important for Tantra and sacred sexuality practice, as well as just living in this world where there are so many things going on, potential challenges. You want to be ready for that. And you are simply resting. So as you rest your energy and you root it down into the earth energy is coming back up to meet you and support you. So in a similar way here, you're actually becoming and utilizing the qualities of a tree. You're secure, you're strong, you're uprising, your energy is expanding and growing. And you can be at rest. There's no need to push back against anything. In fact, if people did try to push you when you're in this posture, you would probably not do well. If you were trying to rely simply on your own body's physical strength, there'd be a point where you really couldn't hold that back. But when you're using the earth's energy and allowing that to move through you, you actually become immovable in a wonderful, very dignified, very integrous kind of way. And in my Qigong training, we had to hold this position for 20 minutes, which takes a little getting used to. But I want to invite you to try that and see how that feels for you. If you're doing a daily Qigong practice, integrate that into your practice. You can do it for a minute. You might want to start with a 30-second practice. That might seem like enough to you at the beginning. Gradually extend the amount of time you spend in that, and you'll find that you have an internal structure that allows you to feel secure, strong, courageous, and allows ultimately for expansion and growth because you're able to handle all of that energy. So I'm looking forward to the summer and to sharing with you about aspects of the fire element. But while we've got a little spring left, let's enjoy it. Blessings to you. Feel free to reach out to me here in the chat or through my website, tantradoctor.com. And if you like, schedule your own 20-minute sacred sexual vitality breakthrough session where you can look at what might be up for you around the area of your sexuality, areas for growth, expansion, and higher levels of pleasure and spiritual connection. Great to see you today. Have a beautiful day.